What is going on, college basketball fans? Welcome back to another video. Today we're doing our Pac-12 tier rankings based on how good I think they are going to be this upcoming season. If you guys are new here, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit that like button because that helps spread the video out to more college basketball fans and grow this awesome community we have here on YouTube. Without further ado, let's get it started. So, we have our Pac-12 teams here. I'm just going to go from left to right, starting with Arizona in this random order that they gave us here on this tier rankings. We have the same tiers as the Big 12 video, if you guys watched that one. Championship potential. That means not that I think you're going to win the championship, but that you have potential to do so. Same with the Final Four, that you have potential to get that far in the tournament. And then just making the tournament if I think you're going to make it, and then if I think you are going to miss the tournament. So the Pac-12 only had 3 teams make the tournament last season. I thought I'd do the Pac-12 next, considering UCLA and USC are on their way out the door here in a couple of years. We don't know how much longer this Pac-12 is going to stay together, or if the Pac-12 is going to be together at all. So I figured we might as well do them next. So starting with Arizona. Arizona, a very good team. They definitely had champion potential last season, but they ended up losing in the Sweet 16. They lost Christian Coloco to the NBA. They lost Benedict Mathurin to the NBA. They're going to need some guys to step up big time this year for the Wildcats, and they do have some players that are able to do just that, and they also have some incoming freshmen. They brought in transfer guard from Texas, Courtney Ramey, so they are going to be a very solid team. I'm going to have them at make the tournament, though. I don't think that they are going to have Final Four potential, but they do have potential to make the tournament and maybe even get as far as the Sweet 16, but I don't think they are quite good enough to get to the Final Four. Now, Washington State, an interesting team, a team that barely missed out on the tournament last season and actually had a pretty decent run in the NIT tournament. So, do I think that they can make the tournament this year? I'm going to go with no, because they did lose a lot of their top guys, including their senior point guard, who was probably their best player, and they also are going to be a fairly young team this year, and I don't think that Washington State is going to be able to make the tournament. They did bring in a couple of transfers. They brought in a guy from Washington, and they also brought in a guy from St. Mary's, and that guy from St. Mary's is a pretty good player. I can't quite think of his name right now, but they're going to have some decent players. I don't think Washington State is going to quite get to the tournament this year, though. Arizona State. They have DJ Horn on their team, a very good player. If he can take a step up and maybe carry them all the way to the tournament, then maybe Arizona State might have a chance, but I don't think that he is going to do it all by himself. Therefore, I think Arizona State is going to have a not so great season once again this year and miss the tournament. So, next up, we got the California Golden Bears, and they were a team that were not so good last season, and they were also a team that was full of seniors last season. So I don't think that California is going to make the tournament either. So we got a big stretch of teams that I just don't think are going to make the tournament. We got the Colorado Buffs, a team that was a 5 seed not too long ago. Not last year, but the year before, and last year just barely missed out on the tournament. So this one's a little bit more interesting, but I'm going to have to go with missing the tournament. They lost Jabari Walker to the NBA. He's been playing in the Summer League, I'm pretty sure, for the Trailblazers. And then they lost Evan Beatty, who was a big fan favorite, a big-time player for Colorado there with his career that he had with the Buffs. Not just a fan favorite for the Colorado fans, but for all of college basketball fans. He was a senior, graduated last season. I just don't think Colorado is going to have enough to make the tournament this year, but they could be a surprise sleeper team if they can have some guys step up. And next up, we have the Oregon State Beavers. Again, a team that made the tournament not last year, but the year before, but they only made the tournament because they won the Pac-12 tournament. They were a terrible team that year, and somehow they made a big-time run and won the Pac-12 tournament and made it all the way to the Elite Eight and the NCAA tournament. I mean, that's why we love basketball, right? I mean, any team can do that just on a random given year, and that was an underrated Cinderella run, but last year they did nothing bouncing back off of that. They were the worst team in the Pac-12 by far. Maybe not by far, because there's a lot of bad teams in the Pac-12 last season, but no, I don't think the Beavers are going to make the tournament this year. Next up, we got the USC Trojans, and finally a team that I think is going to make the tournament. I don't think that they're going to have Final Four potential either. They are losing Isaiah Mobley. He's going to go play with his brother Evan Mobley for the Cavaliers, so that is a cool storyline. They get to play together in the NBA as brothers. But they still have Boogie Ellis, and he's a guy who is going to have to take a big step up. He's a guy who seemed to always be in trouble with his head coach and always get benched. We'll see if he can do some maturing and see if those punishments by the coach really paid off. Because we all know Boogie Ellis has a ton of potential, but I do think that USC altogether has a pretty good squad, good enough to make the tournament next season, especially playing Pac-12 competition. Next up, we got Stanford, and this may come to a surprise to a lot of people, but I'm actually going to have Stanford making the tournament as my sleeper pick. I got to make at least one bold pick in each one of these conference rankings videos, and I'm going to put all my chips in on Stanford for this year. Why, you might ask? Harrison Ingram had a big freshman year last year. He is a player I could see having a big jump in the Pac-12 next season, and they weren't terrible last year. They were about middle of the road in the Pac-12 as far as where they finished last year. And they also have Spencer Jones coming back. I believe he could have a decent year. They're just my sleeper pick. I'm putting my chips in on Stanford. I completely understand if you would have them missing the tournament, but I got to make at least one bold pick. Give me Stanford. And next up, we got the Oregon Ducks, a team that I also think is going to make the tournament this year and have a big-time bounce-back season, because last year they ended up missing the tournament. But they are bringing in a big-time freshman, Khalil Ware, who I think is going to have an immediate impact and be a big-time player. They brought in a lot of transfers this offseason. They're a well-coached team. I don't think that they're going to miss the tournament again. I think that Oregon has Sweet 16 potential. I don't think that they have Final Four potential there, so they are going to land here at making the tournament. And next up, we have the UCLA Bruins. In my opinion, they are going to be the clear favorites preseason to win the Pac-12. They got Tiger Campbell, they got Jamie Jaquez. They are losing Johnny Juzang this season, but they are bringing in Amari Bailey, a top 5 recruit this offseason. I am going to say UCLA has Final Four potential, and they are going to be the only team in the Pac-12 that I believe has Final Four potential. They could have championship potential, possibly. I'm going to have to see them play first. I'm going to have to see Jamie Jaquez take a big step up. Tiger Campbell is a very good player. I think he will improve as well. And then I got to see Amari Bailey play. I believe he can have a big-time role there. He might be starting at shooting guard. So UCLA, Final Four potential for now. They could definitely be a team that could move up into championship potential, maybe once I watch them play. And next up, I'm not going to sugarcoat it too much. We have two teams that I don't think are going to make the tournament this year. I mean, you have the Utah Utes, who were absolutely terrible in basketball last year. I don't really need to spend too much time talking about them. I don't believe that they are going to have a good season next year. Then you have the Washington Huskies, who are losing Terrell Brown Jr., who was a 20-point-per-game scorer last season, who has played forever in college basketball. Finally played his last year of eligibility there. A great player, but just he's not going to be playing next season. And then Emmett Matthews Jr., who is probably your second best player, transferred over to WVU, back where he originally played. So you're losing a lot of talent there at Washington. You also had a player transfer up to Washington State. So some big losses there for the Huskies. But these are going to be my final rankings preseason for the Pac-12. We have UCLA as the only team that I believe is going to have Final Four potential. We actually have 5 teams making the tournament out of the Pac-12, which is kind of surprising. Last year they only had 3. We have Stanford and Oregon as teams that didn't make the tournament last year making the tournament this year. Stanford is kind of my wild card. I'm kind of betting big. It's my bold pick. So let me know down below in the comment section, what do you guys agree with this tier ranking, and what do you disagree with? I'm interested to see your guys' feedback. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching.